Dominion Hills. Dominion Hills.
With a significant
Portion of, this thing
just cutting in and out.
Yes,
It does.
It's cutting it.
Okay, with a significant portion of,
Arlington's office space lying vacant, what would you do to shore up the commercial property tax base?
This is an excellent question. It's going to be one of the most important ones facing the next county board, I believe, because a robust commercial sector cutting that vacancy rate does allow us to keep residential property tax rate manageable without having to make cuts to the things that we value here in Arlington. So it is a top priority, and I appreciate your question. I think the most important thing to think about when we think about addressing our commercial vacancy rate is that we need to plan for the Arlington that we want to see instead of blindly lowering the tax rate. One of the biggest challenges right now facing Crystal City and Roslyn is that we have a commercial stock that's a bit outdated. It's designed for the federal government tenants of the 1970s and 80s. Many of these buildings are slated for redevelopment, and it's critically important that we work with and listen to and learn from our business community as we think about interim uses for these, for example, the micro units that we live, we work, to ensure that these sectors do remain robust. In the long run, I believe it's about attracting new tenants, new commercial businesses here to Arlington, new businesses here to Arlington. For example, learning from Arlington Economic Development that we are well positioned to try to attract med tech industry because of our geographic positioning and also because of the highly educated workforce that we offer. But I do believe it's so important that we think about this in terms of aggressive, proactive planning and not engaging in a race to the bottom of the lowest tax rates or the lowest rents. I don't think that's a race that Arlington can win, nor do I think it's a race we want to win. It guarantees us less tax income at a time when we need more, and it doesn't give us a guaranteed return. So in sum, thinking proactively about the sort of long-range commercial tenants we want to attract, going after them aggressively.
Ms. Clement?
Yes, well, I sort of resent the supposition that we're on a race to the bottom to lower the commercial real estate tax base or taxes. First of all, you should all know that we, in addition to the regular real estate tax rate that businesses pay in this county, they also pay a commercial real estate surcharge tax, which is about 12%. Now, I have long believed that this is contrary to the state constitution, which requires that the commercial real estate base be taxed at the same rate as the residential. But I can't take issue with it because this tax rate was basically written into law by the state legislature in 2013. What I would do to compensate for the unfair taxation of our commercial business establishments is that I would consider reductions in the BPAL or BID taxes or any other taxes that the business community might bring forward to county board for consideration of reductions. Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Hobart?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Gurney, for the question. And in terms of the commercial sector, there really has to be a multi-pronged approach that includes, among other things, making it easier to start a business in Arlington. Many businesses have reported the difficulty, particularly young new entrepreneurs who are really going to fuel a lot of the growth in trying to deal with our office space vacancies, report difficulty actually getting started with the process. We absolutely have to make it easier. We also have to recognize that from our planning and development processes, sometimes because of the length of time it takes, we sometimes find ourselves with product that's not suitable for the current office environment. We have to maintain flexibility in our planning process. And then, on the side of actually attracting businesses that are already mature here now, we have to provide a range of incentives, and that's not code for money. It is being creative, as we're presently doing, providing a secure fiber optic network that we hope will attract a new class of office tenant in Arlington. Those are the kinds of incentives that we can leverage in order to make Arlington attractive and bring in mature existing businesses. And then finally, we have to recognize that we can position ourselves as a value proposition in the region that provides, when you add up everything else, the best value for businesses. We may not be lowest on rents, but when you add in traffic, when you add in value of schools, when you add in a whole host of other things, we have to make sure Arlington is marketed as such and people know that overall we are a good value proposition compared to other jurisdictions.
Well, with the silver line eating our lunch here in Arlington County, we've got to be creative about how we're going to go about filling those buildings. The county doesn't own those buildings, landlords own those buildings, and we need to create a dialogue with those landlords and create a summit to find out what it's going to take to fill those buildings. You know, there's a Crystal City site plan that's in place that could be started with Vornado and other folks over there just don't want to do anything with those buildings, and they're sitting on those buildings that are long in the tooth. So we've got to find ways to create incentives for those folks to go in there and restructure those buildings and to get new tenants in here. We need to attract businesses such as Marriott. You know, I do a lot of business with Silicon Valley companies and Boston companies that are startups and so forth in my consulting practice, in my law practice. And these folks are very innovative, and we need to find those creative ways such as tax relief, whether it be poll tax or other ways to give them a break so that they'll come into the county and hire folks. And we live in a really wonderful spot. We're across the river from Washington, D.C. The Pentagon is in our backyard. The Pentagon is relying more and more on the commercial sector to build its communication systems and things of that nature, and to really leverage the economies of scale. So new and innovative businesses have an opportunity in this county. Given our proximity to the Pentagon and to Washington, D.C., it's a great place to do business. We just need to become competitive with the other outlying areas and become competitive with the business people tax, which I pay and I know is very high.
Now we have Ms. Hobart.